It's not in the cards for you. I'm pretty good at insults, and I got the internet and a lot of free time.
I'm an atheist. I don't give a shit. And my behavior, Christians, is probably better than yours. How many times have I seen you walk around carting multiple girlfriends or multiple boyfriends around when your Bible is against fornication? I could probably look it up on the internet, which quotes are against greed and fornication and hypocrisy. It's like whenever you're running your fucking preacher mouth, it's all the things that you do, not what other people do. You just heap it on the atheists. And you really need to stop. I swear to your God, Christians think the background chatter is their God. You guys really got to stop this shit. You're endangering people. You're hurting people. Stop. Religion, go away. And if you're an atheist, apply everything I just said to capitalism and money. Because you treat money as though it's your God a lot of times. And capitalism though it's your religion sometimes. You cut around your fucking money and showing how much money you got. Oh, look at me, I'm a rich fucking atheist, so I get all the chicks. Or you're walking around with your multiple ass chicks talking about, oh yeah, this hookup culture. But you're part of the hookup culture. There's not a bit of sarcasm to your voice. There is. But you're lying. You're straight up lying. You're saying you're being sarcastic. It's not sarcasm. You're lying. There's a difference. You're liars. And I'm not a high and mighty agnostic. I'm an anti-theist. A lot of times that agnostic pose is unreasonable. Like they'll call you names and stuff. I don't know. I don't know if there's a God. I don't know. I don't know if there's a God or not. And there might be. Let's just get off the topic entirely because we don't want to talk about it. But all agnostics want to talk about that shit. It's just when they're with atheists, they hate atheists. And when they're with theists, they hate theists. I don't know. They act like that. They have that whole swagger of like, it's hurtful towards them, so we're going to do it to gaslight. I don't understand people sometimes. I really don't. You should just be kind and work together instead of carting around like... See, this is why they don't want me going to the Mosaic Center anymore, because it's just like whenever you see Christians out there, they're out there fornicating and being part of the hookup culture when that's against the religion. Oh, look at me and my 6 chicks. Look at me flashing money to have my girlfriends on lock. And that's like 80% of the country if you include the Muslims. Theists, please, agnostics, and you're hating on us, and theists, you're just preaching the things that you do. You really ought to love atheists. And not 2 chicks to a dude. What the fuck, guys? It's not just Spokane. Admit it. It's not just Spokane. It's greed, self-worship, fornication and bullshit. And why are you doing it? You go with the older guy, the Gen X dudes, when you're Gen Z, when it's about money. See what I mean? Apply everything that an atheist says about God to money. It's just fake. Why you fake? What would make me interested in you? Think about that much? You Canadian folk would say that I'm greedy for not sharing my $3 nachos from 7-Eleven with your dog. But fuck you, Canuck. Oh, really? Eating nachos, right? Click as that? My $3 worth of nachos, and I'm not sharing with your ass. Here's where your classism comes in. I just wanted to say that the problem with dating Gen Z women isn't really Gen Z women. It's ignorance. It's the fact that there's that age phobia and ageism of like when you're Generation X and want to date Generation Z women, they expect you to be something of the best. The one that could take the most snide, rude comments from your dumb fuck Gen Z boyfriends. Which, of course, isn't all of them. You know who you're seeing a lot of outside in your city? during COVID, you're seeing a lot of people that support capitalism. You're seeing like the ice queens, you're seeing like the fat chicks, you're seeing a lot of the stupid people out there, the assholes, the a-holes, the buttheads, the guys that are socialists but impress women with their cars, the people that love Black Lives Matter but don't love Black Power or Black Pride or anything like that, or even solidarity with other races of people, the people that flash their money in order to get pussy. That's what you're seeing a lot of in the COVID. You're seeing a lot of like fucking a-holes everywhere you go. You're not seeing people that are decent and genuine and kind. You're seeing like the frat boys. You're seeing like the sorority chicks. You're seeing the chicks that just eat and eat and eat and eat. Have never lost a pound in their life. When I've lost 150 of these. Oh, but I'm greedily eating nachos. Fuck you. It's just your fucking classism. I don't need to impress a bitch. I don't care if that bitch is a dude or a chick. I don't need to impress a bitch. If you know about other people's shit and you have to lie about it to continue going in your fame, what does that make you but a bitch? Click a tap. Bitch. You're a bitch, click a tap. Just a little bitch. Just like Walter Fate, a little drunk, alcoholic bitch. Why is it that you always see these women, like the punk rock emo women, to preppies, just every woman in between, complaining about ratchet males or like the typical stereotypical male these days? But those are the guys that they date. Like they're complaining about the ratchets, you know what I mean? The guys that are exactly the same as every other dude, where just about her body, it's not about her mind, it's not about her personality. But they all wear baseball caps and they all look like they're frat boys. So what you're telling me is women that what you're only gonna date are dudes that wear baseball caps, despite the fact that of their body or their mind. It's just about the baseball cap. So what you're saying is if I want to attract emo or punk rock chicks or preppy normie chicks, I should just simp into the capitalist culture that you hate as a communist, anarchist, or a socialist and wear a baseball cap because fuck it, that's the only guy that you date. That's what you're telling me. Seriously? What the fuck? Like you'll go and you'll date the older guys, the Generation X guys, Gen Z, down at Bistango or the other bars around. Like you're not closed-minded to different age gap relationships like a lot of the millennials are. You're not a bigot generation and you're not geared by classism, but you're gonna sit there and complain about these dudes that you date as being stereotypical dudes, but they have to wear a baseball cap in order for you to date them. It's as the old saying goes, if you want better men, start dating better men. Don't make it about the bank account. Don't make it about him looking like every other guy out there. Don't make it about these ratchet males if you're going to complain about ratchet males. We're socialists, goddammit. We're communists and anarchists. We're left of the Democrats. We only really vote for Democrats in order to get rid of the Republicans. Maybe you should just fess up and stop lying. Let's say you're a normal, healthy female and you're an adult under the age of 24. You came from a normal, healthy upbringing and household, but you still find yourself attracted to older males, especially older males that might actually be your uncles or your father's age, like about 40. You want to know something, sis? That's actually normal. And it's something that you should pursue. You're a mammal known as a human being. All the other animals would look at silverback males as the alpha male. And I'm not just talking about primates. I'm talking about dogs, cats, squirrels, every other mammal group. Every other mammal group, not just primates, not just monkeys, are attracted to older males that are silvering in color. Dogs, cats, ocelots, leopards, lions. It doesn't really matter. You being attracted to them is normal. You not pursuing them or pursuing those relationships is abnormal. You might want to question things like, why do you feel so at ease around older males? Why is it when they're goofy and funny, it's funnier than when younger males are goofy and funny? Like, a younger male could be running the same shtick as an older male, but it kind of just seems like he's copying some comedian. I mean, he could be a funny comedian. You could be a funny younger comedian. For sure, there's plenty of young, funny comedians. Dimitri Martin and guys younger than Dimitri Martin are funny, but even Dimitri Martin's probably about my age by now. No, he's a millennial, so he's a little younger than I am. But there are funny young comedians out there. But why is it that guys that are a little older, like George Carlin or your uncle or any of those, like your dad, when they're funny, they're funnier? You ever question that feeling of well-being when you're with older males? Like, you'll go down to Bistango, or you'll go down to the wine cellars, or you'll go down to like the brew pubs in your town, like in Spokane it's the Volder Act. You'll go down to these more sophisticated, classy bars where, I hate to admit it, the guys have more money and they're also probably a little more laid back, but you'll date them. Well, it's half the time you gotta realize it is about money. Actually, not even half the time. It's 10% of the time, because 90% of women these days, Zoomers, Generation Z, are into socialism, communism, and anarchism. So again, you're seeing a lot of the crummy people down there that are sugar daddy seekers. But you're also seeing people that are into age gap relationships. And you look at that and you're like, why are these women so freaking happy? I mean, the guy, sometimes he doesn't even have a car and he's pulling 2 chicks out of a bar or something. How? You know, well, he made the approach. He had the opportunity for the approach. It's not really about approach. It's about opportunity. Because all you really do is you go up and you say, hi, I'm, followed by your first name, followed by some sort of charming thing, like it's charmed to meet you or it's a pleasure to meet you, that may or may not translate well over the internet. Or you can say, hey, yeah, I want some pussy, which makes them laugh, and then you go over and then you say, hi, I'm. If you get the smile, you still have to do the introduction, is what I'm saying. You never really know how the generation gappers are doing it, but it's probably something along the lines of, hey, you know, I was going to go get a burger or something. You want to come with? I can buy 3 burgers. You have to understand that the reason that you feel so at ease around males that are 20 years older than you when you're 20 is because the guys that you're dating are boy-like, not man-like. You see what I'm saying here? You'll be a woman and you might complain about, oh, I have to be the best. I have to beat out all the males and all the females to get the job position. Yeah, I know. It's a horrible fucking world, but like most of the guys you date have baseball caps and you're really only into them because they have a bank account. I'm not really into answering the questions about why I don't have a bank account, you know what I mean, among a socialist, communist, anarchist generation. Any of those hitting for you, Democratic Socialists, Bernie Sanders, it's none of your business why I don't have a bank account. But, you know, I have bipolar, and if we were to breed and you don't have bipolar, the chance of our kids having bipolar would be about 10%. So your ableism isn't really welcome, your classism and age phobia. And this is Gen Z we're talking about here. We're not talking about millennials. A lot of these chicks will date straight up retards. You know what I mean? They'll date guys with Down syndrome. They're an open-minded generation. They probably shouldn't if they want to have kids. Because that'll screw up their kids. But again, those things only pass on like 10%. So in retrospect, it really doesn't matter. Like if your husband has Down syndrome and you're just a normal person and you like this guy, he's like Rain Man and has autism or something, maybe you should pursue those relationships. Maybe you should look into what the percentage is of what it would be for passing on to your children if you're against ableism. And also date older men. Date dudes that are more mature. You're not going to find that maturity among a younger male. Is he walking around holding your hand while you're walking around? Oh, that's cute. What about the arm around the shoulder gig? I haven't ever seen that. I've seen that like once out of every 10,000 people I'd seem to see. I don't know if I'm being hyperbolic or not. I rarely see the arm over the shoulder move walking around out there. As an older guy interested in younger males and a libtard or whatever you want to call me, I'm not seeing the affection that I thought that I'd see. You have to understand that as mammals, we are attracted. If we're females, we're attracted to older males. What I'm saying is, technically speaking, I'm an alpha. If you look at all other, it's about age. It's about opportunities for growth. If you're not presenting those opportunities for me, like we go to your apartment or your house and we meet these beautiful women, I got to do it myself, you Republicans, because what you're saying is I have to be self-reliant. We can't come together as a community of neighbors in Spokane to help Lucas here find a chick. He just got to find it by random ass chance, like rolling the dice. Which, as a board game designer, Lucas himself a board game designer, I find appalling and disrespectful and an insult to my intelligence. If you can't invite me over to meet hot chicks, that's an insult to my intelligence. Oh, they're all for you! Right, whatever, Ace. As soon as I go up and I'm charming as shit, though, you'll understand that the reason you won't invite me over to your parties is because you think you're going to lose them all. Oh, because I'm going to date 4 different women? No. I'm a one-woman man, dude. Believe it or not, the entirety of Generation X is in the midlife crisis period. We're all middle-aged. Do the math. Like, what's the youngest Generation X, born in 1981? So that would be 38 years old. You double that by 2. That's, middle-aged. And what do dudes do when they're middle-aged? Well, they drive fast cars. They spendthrift with their money, and they want to hook up with beautiful young women. That's what middle-age is. I'm not saying they all cheat on their wives, but they want to be around young women, especially a lot of divorcees. I've never been married. I've never had kids, and I still have that urge to dude, if I had a whole bunch of fucking money, I'd sure have a lot of chicks. I have that feeling. But then again, you look at it from the sort of political level. Well, okay, if we're all left-wing here, why the fuck aren't you inviting me to your parties? Do you think I'm going to walk around with 4 chicks like you young dudes are? How often do you see an older guy, even when it's not COVID, rolling around with 5 different chicks? It doesn't happen very often because you've sowed your wild oats. You know how stupid that behavior is. Even if you're rolling around with 2 women, you're just buddies, but you fuck them. You realize how stupid that is, right? Why is it that we just don't write these things down and teach them to high school students? Don't date more than 1 woman. Don't make this about money. Get political about it and do the right thing about it. It's a vital skill like home economics, life skills, relationship skills, but we don't teach that stuff in high schools. And it doesn't make any sense to me why we don't. Like, how do you interrelate to other human beings? How do you interrelate to younger people? How do you interrelate to older people? How do you interrelate to animals? It's just stuff that they expect you to figure out. Like, how do you do your taxes? Well, it's stuff that your parents probably teach you the first time you get a job. When you're 16. Why don't they teach that stuff in schools? I don't understand it. They don't teach things. They don't tell you things like why, if you're a date age female, like 18, you're attracted to older males. If you really want one, just go to a sophisticated bar. I mean, the dating coaches are going to kind of piecemeal the thing together and make money at it. But the reality of the situation is you put $50 in your wallet. If you see a whole table full of honeys that are like 21, you go up to the whole table and you say, "Excuse me, I'm Lucas," or whatever your name is. You probably wouldn't use my name unless you're an asshole. "Excuse me, I'm..." whatever your name is. Please don't use my name. Unless that actually is your name. "Excuse me, I'm..." whatever your first name is. "And I just want to know if I could buy you ladies a drink." Yeah, you're going to be out some money. Okay, so let's say there's 6 of them at a table. A drink costs $10. Ooh, you spent $60 on a bunch of women. Are you really that cheap? Like, I don't even have a bank account or a credit card. I'm one of these poor people you hear so much about while you're walking around with the Down syndrome dudes. I'm advocating an end of ableism here. I'm serious. I see you walking around with like guys that are functionally kind of retarded, and I'm kind of for that in a way, because it's like, if you look at the stats, if you're normal and they're abnormal in terms of like brain chemistry or brain structure, the chance of you passing that on is about the same as passing on chronic halitosis, which is like 10%. It's nothing. If you're normal mental wise, your hippocampus and all your brain functions are normal, and they have autism or something, you really should look at the statistics of what your children should be, because it's not as high as what they'll shove down your throats. It's really not. Like, if you're bipolar and your chick or your dude is bipolar, it's about 50%. But if it's not, if they're just like a normal human being, it's about 10%. Whatever they're shoving is a lie. It's all disinformation. You think that there's no disinformation out there? Most of what you're swallowing out there through your ears is disinformation. It's just a lie. Most of this out there that you're hearing on the rumor mill, on the wind, through the grapevine, however you want to put it, is just some bullshit through the telephone system. Like, you tell a story, and then it gets hyperbolic from one end to another, and pretty soon Susie's miscarriage is she murdered a child. You know what I mean? Like, you really shouldn't base your whole life on what you hear on the wind. You should look up things on Google and see if things are factually based. So all Generation X males at this point in 2021 are middle-aged. We're all, like, I'm a young Generation X male, and I meet like a lot of older Generation Z women that are like 24. And I'm older nothing. Like, I'm a young Generation X. But I'm still middle-aged because I'm 41 years old. You do the mathematics on it. I mean, 82 seems like a proper age to die for a man. It's when my grandpa died. He was like 85. So, like, who knows what middle age really is? You know what I mean? And moreover, what's the shame in being middle-aged? If it's a lie, if it's like 60 is the new middle age, well, you're going to have to prove that most people are living to 120 years old, because that's still not what's going down right now. Granted, aging research is the most popular research within biochemistry today. That is not a lie. That is an actual fact. Most of the biomedical research these days deals with aging and staving off the aging process. Probably because a lot of these biochemists are older. Makes sense, right? There's a lot of stuff out there that's confusing. Age proximus relationships in general are a bit confusing to me because you're dating a boyish guy, not a man. You could be there like, well, he's got a good job. Yeah, but does he have a good heart? Does he have a good soul? Does he have a good experience? The soul and the experience is the same thing. I'm sorry, atheists, but you know, the soul exists in a way that I, as an atheist, do understand. It's the sum of one's experience. If you're so persnickety and cutting of hairs, splitting of hairs on the issue, it doesn't make much sense to me. Because if somebody talks about someone's soul, you're going to have to realize you're dealing with about 80% of this country actually believes in the soul. And the soul, S-O-U-L, is everywhere. Soulfulness. Soul music. It's everywhere. You just have to understand that soul is the sum of one's experience. God is nothing but a metaphor for the entirety of all existence. That's just what you have to deal with as an atheist. You know what I mean? Like, if somebody talks about God, are you going to deny them? I probably wouldn't, because in a way that's ableism too. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I don't want to be denied because I'm an atheist, am I going to deny Christians? Maybe, maybe not. It depends on their behavior. It really doesn't really matter. I've met plenty of Christians that are just like good, decent human beings, like my parents. My mom is a Christian, but she's not a Bible thumper Christian. You know what I mean? Like that. My dad's an atheist. My stepdad is probably a Christian, but he's not a Bible thumper. He straight up laughs at religious people as being way too fundamentalistic. And these are people that aren't swingers, you know what I mean? They're not swinging with their friends. They're not at sex parties or anything. Whenever I seem to meet Christians, it's like their behavior is hypocritical to whatever the Bible says that they should be as a Christian. But that's another topic entirely. The thing is that things like feminism and atheism really do kind of help you in generation gap relationships, because you're coming from a perspective of it, you being outside the box anyway. And if you have an experience that's outside the box, you're going to have more understanding of what you do in the situation in order to procure a relationship. I'm used to being outside the box. I'm used to people thinking that I'm outside the box and knowing that I'm outside the box. I'm used to that. I'm used to people saying that I'm a trip. I don't really like being called weird and retarded, because that's factually untrue. I'm different, that's for sure, but I wouldn't say different in a bad way. And I wouldn't call me weird if you don't want me to block you on Facebook, because I've straight up blocked people on Facebook for that. Don't do that. The thing is we're all middle-aged, and we're all going through this middle-age crisis. Why are we so attracted to younger women? Why are we so attracted to women that everybody in society says that we shouldn't be attracted to? Well, shouldn't be is a conservative viewpoint. They could just be blocked instantaneously for being bigots. Write me, tell me that, I probably won't even respond. I'll just block you. Or I won't even respond. There's no point to you. You're pointless. I know conservatives that don't have a problem with age gap relationships or generation gap relationships. So what you do is you just offer to buy the entire table drinks. You're going to be out $60, and then just go mac on the one you want. If you're such a mac, go do it. Don't tell me what to do. Do it. I personally cannot do it because I don't have an ID card. I have to get a voucher for an ID card now that I'm no longer homeless in an adult daycare or whatever you want to call it as a bigot. Bigotry is not cool, but you know, it's a step process. It's baby steps. I'm trying. Maybe you should praise me for trying. And maybe you shouldn't say that you love me or whatever, you're my guy or whatever like that. You think you're my guy. Well, if you're my guy, Spokane, you'd be inviting me to your parties to meet beautiful women. Otherwise, I might be your guy, but you're not my guy. Because I want my girl. That's not a plural. See, that's the point where you should be laughing and clapping and agreeing. We're in the midlife crisis. What do you expect me to do? We're amongst a leftist generation. We're sitting here left wing. But then again, we're just sitting here. So if you want a beautiful young woman, go to Bistango, get a fine drink, an apple teeny. Buy apple teenies for the whole room if you must, to show how much cash you have. I could probably do it too, but I would work one table at a time. It is a bit of money to buy an entire table of drinks. You're going to be out $60 to $100 by the end of that night. You really only have to buy them one drink to demonstrate. You can go into the conversation later. It's like, I know we're socialists here. And then don't bullshit at that. Say, listen, I don't have the money to do this all the time. I just kind of wanted to entertain one group for a little bit of time, and I know we're for Bernie. I know we're not hypocrites here. And they're like, well, what are you saying? What are you doing with your life? Well, then you tell them what you're doing with your life. Well, I'm homeless, Yeah. But if you're denying homeless people, or you're denying people that live in a boarding house, or you're denying people, that's classism, and classism is for bigotry. All bigotry is ableism. It really is. It's like you're saying you're better than somebody else based on what, money? Based on an opportunity that you weren't given? I didn't ask to be bipolar. I didn't ask to be put in this situation. It's genetics, and it's not going to pass on to your kids. 10% of the time. If we have 10 kids, one of them will get it. Let's just work on the one. You want to know how funny I am? Think about things. How do you sit there and not feel like you're surrounded by the idiocracy, like half the time? How do you just go through life and not feel like people half the time are just getting dumber and dumber, or meaner and meaner, or just unhealthier and unhealthier? Then you look at all the studies from 1975. How do you, as a researcher or a scientist or a student or even a normal human being, not feel like you're just surrounded by a ruder, more self-centered, idiocratic, idiotic, mentally ill, physically unfit world, especially here in the Western United States, and a lot of theocratic countries, like the Arab states? How do you feel like as things swing right in Hungary and Poland as sort of a retribution against communism, which most people under those systems liked? How do you feel that the right-winging of television programs, like the whole thuggy redneck culture that we live in, isn't something to take note of when you know things about evolution, adaptation to change, making things better, when it just seems like things often get worse? Half the time they do get better, don't get me wrong. It sure would have been nice to have a cell phone back in the 1980s. You know what I'm saying? There are some smart people out there doing some smart things, and there is evolution, but there's also de-evolution going on at the same time. Shouldn't we all be evolving to that state? Shouldn't we all be super hyper intelligent? But there's all these studies from 1975 saying that people are getting dumber. And then we know this stuff about telomere attrition from breeding with dudes under the age of 25. And we know that telomere attrition leads to these things that I'm talking about. So why are you still fucking dudes under 25? You know what I mean? Like, shouldn't they just be put away for a little while? Incubate, learn some things about women. Why do we have to be visceral and acerbic in order to get their attention? We have to be like, as guys these days, we have to like all wear a baseball cap or come in like, hey, yeah, I really need some pussy. There's no class anymore. There's no classiness. It's just a rude, gross culture called Earth. Shouldn't we stop breeding with dudes under the age of 25? If all these studies from Zurich, Cambridge, and Harvard? I tell you, science doesn't lie. What would you, as a woman, date a dude under 40 anyway? There's thousands of studies saying that men between 40 and 60 are better at sex. There's thousands of studies saying the relationship just feels more calming and happy. There's thousands of studies saying that men this age, when they become fathers, are more doting and affectionate towards their children and caring. There's thousands of studies saying that dudes between 35 and 55 will give your kids stronger baby DNA. There's thousands of studies saying that men this age are more willing to listen than just chime in with some mansplaining shit. Why would you date a dude under the age of 40? If you're having trouble meeting women that are young, go to the bars that are not hip and hopping. Go to the bars that are a little more classy on nights that are maybe like Mondays through Wednesdays when the douchebags aren't around. The classier places, the martini bars, the quaint little Irish pubs, the wine cellars, the wine tasting places. And look for younger women there. Approach like, hi, I'm, followed by your first name. Followed by, may I buy you a drink? Come in cool and classy like your dad might. Generation X is all middle aged now. We should be hitting up Gen Z women. Why wouldn't you? They're gorgeous. If you explain things to them proper instead of being another common clone Eminem wannabe or just some bag of dicks, then it's going to work for you. Why would you date a dude under the age of 40 given all this evidence? Why? Are you stupid or something? Doesn't that just prove my fucking point? Why not just pursue generation gap love? Shit. I don't know why you wouldn't date me. I see you guys like women like 2 at a time to these guys just for a Lime scooter ride. You know the Lime scooters where you put like your credit card, you can get one of those cards that are reloadable or non-reloadable at Rite Aid or Safeway. You just get one of those and instantly you got 2 pussies on your dick. You might like raise a stink of hell, but you know I've seen homeless guys pal around with like hot chicks and they're like out there fucking up against walls and shit. I haven't actually seen the fucking up against walls, but I've heard some stories from some guys that are usually pretty honest about stuff. What you find is that poor people are a little more honest than rich people. Poor people are a lot more generous too than people with money. Obviously, I mean, you're Gen Z. You want to talk about how generous you are. Well, okay, I'm not saying you having sex with me based on economic standing. And every once in a while, I get a shithole that emails me, and I tell the Ice Queen or whatever the fuck Click Attack's bogus ass fucked up friends are to go fuck themselves or ask them if they got a personal problem, and that usually shuts them up for a while. It's not like I'm going to listen to you if you're rude to me. If you're mean to me, I'm going to be mean to you. Expect it.
I dish out what I receive. So if you're cool to me, I'm cool to you. I think that's just the way it has to be. You know, you start out nice, you know what I mean? But when people are intolerable towards you, you have to protest against that shit. It's just the way it is. I'm not saying like thousands of people come up and like get in my face. It's like one or two every once in a damn while. What I'm saying is you're seeing these chicks like 2 to 6 at a time calling themselves Christians when Jesus was against fornication. And then the preachers blame it all on atheism when most of the country is Christian. Hey, shut the fuck up. Pastor or whatever the fuck your self-righteous title is, whatever. You know, you running around multiples at a time with the honey is just because of your religion or your money or just like some dumb superficial reason. It makes no sense to me why you just give in to this stupid ass culture of greed or self-centeredness when like you claim to be such a open-minded generation. In a lot of ways you are. I mean, you're willing to date black guys when you're white. You should just like let me buy you a burger or something someday, because it would be fun to get to know you as a person instead of this superficial image that you pump out there that's fake. Out here in Spokane, Manitou Park, checking out the koi pond. As soon as we show up, all the fishies came around because they got nice personalities like kitty cats, and they'll look at you. It's like they can hear their names too. They're smart fish. If you don't have people watching over them, they tend to get eaten too by wildlife. You might need to like clean up the water a little bit. It's like they got a little bit of a green algae bloom. It's like all different colored ones. That one's interesting. It looks like a Dalmatian. See, they know that we're here, so they're kind of hoping for food or something.
It was all iced over. And these fish, we were up on the bridge, and the fish were swimming in a perfect circle. All of them together. Super, super slow. Like
Weird.
this. And then there was one that was going really fast. That was in and out of all of them in a circle. It was bizarre.
I wonder why they do that.
That's the only bizarre thing like that I've seen. Like, there's like, I watched this paranormal activity caught on cameras show, and there's been a couple of incidences where a bunch of crows, like a bunch of them, just all of a sudden start swooping down and attacking and standing on the cars and shit. Crazy. And for no apparent reason.
They follow magnetic manwoods.
As an older guy interested in younger males and a libtard or whatever you want to call me,